This is a top-down summary of patch 7.2. Now essentially I've broken a few parts of this out into other videos, such as flying in the Broken Isles, the Broken Shore and the class hall changes. This is more just what you should be aware of and what you need to do when patch 7.2 hits. Now something I have noticed, and this is, I'm going to start with this one because I kind of feel like this is an important thing because I don't know if this is actually a bug. And if patch 7.2 does hit, then it's something that you should be aware of if this hits with the live servers. Now, when you do the quest chains in the Broken Shore, and obviously everything leading up and including the Broken Shore quests, you have the ability to change the artifact tree structure. As you've noticed, there's this new little sort of like trait set in the bottom right hand corner, which is only available once you do the quest chain for it. There is also the ability to unlock the artifact knowledge level to increase beyond 25. Now, this is where it sort of plays in on a very important thing. Before I unlocked it, I was able to use any of the artifact any of the artifact power items I had in my bag. When I unlock that artifact knowledge beyond level 25, as you can see here, I still have one of the items that I had in my bag. Your artifact is too powerful. Sorry, let me just pop that up. Your artifact is too powerful to be modified by that item. So this is now useless to me. I can't use this, which I don't know if it is actually a bug. So that's a bit of a pain because I had some items. Alright, granted this is the PTR, so I'm not really that arsed. This is an absolute pain that now I can't use some of the artifact knowledge, artifact power items in my bag because they're no longer useful to me. So if you are about to do the artifact knowledge quest, use those artifact power items straight away. I think I might be able to use it on my other weapon because I never actually did the chain for my other weapon. Let me just check to see if I can. Actually no, because I've unlocked the artifact knowledge on that as well. So yeah, I can't use either of those items. You will be able to obviously use the newer items such as these up here, which are the very advanced artifact knowledge items, which, like you see there, gave me one considerable amount of artifact knowledge, artifact power. And also the whole sort of artifact tree has changed sort of substantially, in all honesty. You now require a massive amount of artifact power to sort of advanced levels. And the reason behind this is you're no longer just dumping all your points into, for instance, with the Demon Hunter, Chaos Burn. You now actually have a secondary trait tree, and then when you get all the way around, I think you can then dump a load of points in Chaotic Onslaught. So that is something that is critical and you should be aware of. The next thing I'm going to cover is the raids and dungeons brought into patch 7.2. Now, I'm going to start with the raid because it's a very simple thing to cover. The raid is not available and won't be available, if my sources are correct, I've heard, for 11 weeks. Yeah, you're not mishearing me. I've heard, I mean, a guarantee, there's no guarantee by that. It could be a lot sooner, but I have heard 11 weeks. So again, hold you know, don't try and get raid prepared for the release of patch 7.2 because you're just going to be disappointed. And to be honest, looking for raid is going to be even further back than that as well, and again going to come segmented just like the Nighthold did. So with that being said, that's unfortunate, but there's not really much more to say on it because it's not available. We can't do anything about it. The next thing, Cathedral of Eternal Night. Now, unlike Karazhan, so obviously the last dungeon that was released was Karazhan and was only available as a mythic dungeon. Cathedral of Eternal Night is not. It is a standard dungeon, so you can do normal mode, heroic, mythic, mythic plus, anything you want. I've not actually run it. I probably should have. Every time I try to put a group together on a PTR, it's just kind of fallen on its face. And there is actually a quest to actually go and kill Mephistroth in it for one of the Deliverance Points quests, and you get a nice artifact relic for that. Another thing to bring up in regards to patch 7.2 is reputation overflow. And you're probably thinking, what the hell do you mean by reputation overflow? It's probably not a term that you've encountered by the other people talking about patch 7.2. It's just a term I like to use in regards to your reputation for certain factions. Now, once you reach Exalted with a faction, you'll notice a little bag appear next to the faction. Now, any reputation you get for this faction will go towards you being able to get a strong box for that specific faction. So you can now actually, very similar to the bonus quest world objectives, where you can obviously, once you've done the X amount of world quests, you get a little chest. You can also get one which I believe is a very good rewarding cash for actually sort of grinding 10,000 reputation over what you already have. So that is something that you want to bear in mind and also get on the second you can. There isn't really much more to say about that. Obviously, just go grind rep and you should be able to get to your items quite comfortably. So that's probably encouraging people to do more world quests. I know a lot of people are just going to get straight on it so they can get those extra items. I believe they can yield item level 860 and above. Obviously 860, if I'm correct, is the base item level, and then you should be able to get your Warforged and Titanforge advancements beyond that. The next thing I want to cover is a couple of smaller UI changes. Now, one that's really interested me, because I've always had a mod for this, is an open all button in mail, which is now standard as part of the WoW UI. So anytime you go to mailbox and you have like bags and bags of stuff that's been sent to you, you can just simply click the open all and it will get all of your mail for you, which basically removes the necessity of the add-ons. Now, unfortunately, that does penalise some of the add-on makers quite a bit, which I feel is a bit mean, but at least it's now in the game. You don't have to keep updating those patches. The next UI change is the ability to buy a set quantity of any of the particular items from the blood vendor. Now, I believe this also applies to other vendors as well. It's stopping you, for instance, if you were doing like loads of order resource caches and so forth, you're having to go, do you want to buy one? Yes. Do you want to buy one? Yes. You can now just shift click. Well, you were supposed to be able to. I don't think you can actually do that for the order haul caches anymore. I think it's just the items that the other items you can buy. Unless I'm actually missing something here. No, doesn't seem to work. You could also just use the little the buy add-on, or sort of like buy script, that you can do by simply adding a macro to run buy merchant item 1. And that is simply a way of basically subverting the what's the name, confirmation box. And I've already fecked my macro, nice. And basically that is the UI changes for now. I think there's a few other minor ones, such as the something to do with the transmog items. I'm not entirely 100% sure on that one. I didn't go through all the ins and outs on that. Remember, this patch is quite big and there's quite a lot of content to it. Similarly, I will not be going through the class changes because that is phenomenally huge every time and is constantly changing, so that by the time of me releasing this video it's probably changed again. So it's like, yeah, I'm not so screwed, I ain't doing that. Finally, I'm going to come on to Nether Shard and Legion Fall War supplies. Now, this is actually covered in the video I did for the Broken Shore. Basically, you have two new currencies. You have the Legion Fall War supplies as well as the Nether Shards. Nether Shards are a way of buying what's known as Dauntless and I can't remember the name of the other things that you could buy. God damn it. I think it's reinstated, but correct me if I'm wrong, items from the vendors in the Broken Shore. Now, this will allow you to basically craft items for your specific item class, such as like this one here. This is a Dauntless Ring, and you can basically just, if you collect these, I'm surprised they're not account bound like the old ones were, but it's just a way of you being able to get the items you need for your specific class if required. And say, for instance, you've grinded Prot and you want some weapons for Arms or Fury or something like that, so that's a good way to obtain that. The Legion Fall wall supplies are more for upgrades of the 3 buildings on the Broken Shore. As you can see here, you've got your Mage Tower, your Command Center, and your Nether Disruptor. I think if I'm correct, all 3 of these are basically a sort of like realm contributionable. So by that I mean that everyone on the realm contributes towards it. Every time you cash it in, you actually get a Legion Fall recompense, which essentially for me has only ever given me gold, and I think luckily before I actually got a Dauntless ring from it. So you could say they're worth it. Other times probably not so much. Now, with that being said, that is pretty much 7.2 in a nutshell. Obviously, this patch is huge. There's tons more content than what I've covered in this video, and there's probably going to be more significant changes before the actual release on Wednesday, or this Wednesday. So, yeah, keep an eye out for those. I hope you found this somewhat useful and informative, and I will catch you next time.